Hey guys, Zen here, and welcome back. Guys, we now have it. The big fish is in the net, and we know every little detail about Rainbow Six Siege X. Like this, an all-new black ice. And also this, weapon inspection, the tool you'll use to look this new drip up and down. And so guys, let's get into this. But quickly, with this all-new era for Siege, make the most out of it by upgrading your internet connection, lowering your ping, and getting faster and smoother gameplay with Gear Up Booster. Guys, are you sick of super high pings like this? They cause latency and input lag that just don't translate to wins. But with Gear Up Booster, you can choose the sub-server closest to you and increase your performance. Sometimes, even if you're on the right server, your sub-server isn't ideal. And with Gear Up Booster, you can choose the best server and lower both your ping and packet loss for super smooth gameplay. And the difference between using Gear Up and not using Gear Up is that you can clearly feel that shooting is more accurate with lower ping. Just open it up, click on the Rainbow Six Siege tab, choose the region you want, and you're done. It couldn't be simpler. And right now, you can try it for a day for free by using code ZENPROMO. And if you do end up enjoying it, you'll get a 10% discount right now. So guys, click the link in the description and go check out Gear Up Booster and improve your internet connection today. Thanks to them for sponsoring. And so the biggest change here, and the one you'll hear the most about, is that there is now two Rainbow Six Sieges, technically. One is Core Siege, the Siege we know and love, and the one that features ranked, quick play, 5v5 Siege at its core. The other is Dual Front, an all-new permanent mode that takes the Siege gameplay and flips it on its head, creating something totally new. It's a 6v6 mode played on a brand new map, and now the biggest map in the history of Siege, called District. It's simple yet complex. There's deep Siege gameplay mixed with an almost team deathmatch style format with attackers and defenders sharing the same team. Essentially, both teams will spawn in, and if you were wondering, during this animation sequence, you will see your chosen cosmetics, but each team of 6 will have 2 objective sites to defend, and obviously 2 to attack. But in the middle of the map is the neutral zone, and there you'll come across assignments, and these happen during the match and are really put in place to shift around the teams and throw a wrench in the plan. At launch, the assignment is to extract the hostage, which in this case is Dokkaebi, and so just like the hostage game mode, you'll go and retrieve her from the neutral site, bring her to a helicopter deployment zone, and off she goes. And this is important because the devs mentioned that Dual Front is also meant to expand the narrative of Rainbow Six Siege, and so based on Dokkaebi currently being held captive, naturally the assignment is to go and save her. But in the future, there will be new ones, and ones that hit on different lore-based events. Now, the ultimate goal is to capture the opposing team's front, essentially invading their space and destroying their prototype. And so the neutral zone is the choke point, the centralized area where both teams will meet and duel it out to complete the assignment. If you split your team 3 and 3 and the assignment pops up, well, now every operator that goes for the neutral zone is one less to capture or defend a front. And so that's where they hope you'll find the most team-based tactical elements to Dual Front. And also, during this mode, respawns are activated. So if you die, no biggie. You can respawn as the same operator or choose another from the pool, which is set to change twice every season to kind of mix things up. Now, there is a lot of nuance to it, and it does excite me to know that there'll be some lore stuff here, but for me, this new mode isn't something I'd imagine I'd spend a ton of time with. As a 10-year veteran, I spend my time with Siege because of deep, methodical, intimate gameplay that gets intense as the rounds carry on. Without respawns, your every step needs to be calculated and thoughtful, and Dual Front just doesn't set out to achieve that, and there's a very important reason why. Rainbow Six Siege is going free to play, and by doing this, the goal is to lower the barrier to entry for just about anyone to just download the game and get to playing, and Dual Front is there to help guide the newer players into Siege without being super punishing. Technically, every element of Siege is here. Attacking, defending, destruction, gadgets, the operators, it's all here, but it's quicker, it's more forgiving, it's bigger in scope, and coming from just about every other game, it's relatable. I get it, but it's not what makes Siege Siege. And look, that's coming from someone who's played and supported this game essentially since launch. And I can be honest that I'm probably not the target audience for it. But I suppose if this is what truly gets newer players into Siege and moves them around to more competitive stuff like ranked or gets them deeper into the lore and story, then there's worth for it there. But this community has been very critical of Dual Front, and so it'll be fascinating to see how it ultimately pans out when it does become the next permanent game mode in Siege X. So Dual Front is like the front page of Siege X. Siege going free to play is another, but the core Siege, the other half of the game, is the stuff the most hardcore Siege people want to know about. And that comes in the form of visual upgrades, audio upgrades, advanced repelling, weapon inspection, and destructible ingredients. So at launch, 5 maps. The 5 that have had the big Siege X reveal X's tagged all over them are the ones getting modernized. You could imagine that all Siege maps will get this treatment over time, but at launch, Cafe Cafe, Clubhouse, Chalet, Bank, and Border will get the first wave of upgrades. The first change is a major visual update. So what you're seeing here is the new tech being used to update the maps, an all new lighting system, upgraded textures and reflections. I mean, when you look at the difference, it is nice. And one of the things that really stuck out was the mention of getting Siege back to that gritty design that you think about when you think of Siege, that old Siege look. And so most of the lighting has been dialed back in favor of a darker tone. It's a nice touch. And with this new technology comes a first. And look, this might actually be the biggest change in Siege X, and it kind of went under the radar, but you now have first-person shadows. So as you walk around, you will see your casted shadow, and so too will the enemy. So obviously, you'll need to position yourself in such a way that you're covered, but also considering your shadow so that it doesn't reveal your position. This will absolutely change how you navigate a map. Things like where you decide to take a knee to drone out, or where you sit and hide as a roamer on defense, take into account your shadow. The other big thing is the introduction of destructible ingredients, and currently there's 3. New to these 5 maps will be fire extinguishers, flammable pipes, and metal detectors. Fire extinguishers do exactly what you'd expect. If shot, they'll explode, leaving a smoke field in its wake, blocking off sight lines and providing some cover. But if an operator is standing near them when they explode, it'll have a concussive effect, kind of like Ela. So yes, an extinguisher can be a benefit, especially if you're out of smoke and want to use it in the same way. It's also possible to disorient the enemy and push for an attack. And that kind of layered effect carries into all the ingredients on the map. With the pipes, if you hit them with a few bullets, they'll leak a fire. Now, this obviously cuts off that area, unless an operator wants to burn, but eventually it'll explode, and anyone in range will take damage, potentially killing them, and also it'll leave a wake of fire in the area, so it kind of acts like Goyo or Tachanka in that way. And then with metal detectors, of course they've always been in Siege, and they act as they always have, but now, again, there's more layers to them. For instance, if you shoot them, you can actually disable them for a short time, but they will come back online and detect anyone who walks through them. However, if you use an explosive on them, it'll actually destroy them, and there's something interesting that happens here. So if you destroy a metal detector, of course they'll no longer work. Anyone can pass through them like any other gadget in the game, but they do kind of make this crackling, almost sizzle-like sound effect, and so people will know that they've obviously been destroyed and that someone's been in that area. And then of course there's always the option to leave them alone, and they'll act as they always have in Siege. But I can't tell you how many times I've been the last 1 or 2 defenders in the round trying to retake the site, and I pass through a metal detector only to get caught trying to creep in. And so these 3 are the first wave of destructible ingredients, but there will be more, which means the maps in Rainbow Six Siege are getting more dynamic, which ultimately shifts the gameplay in a way that's never really been done before. We have operators, counters to operators, synergies, but now in Siege X, there's the map. It's playing an active role in the outcome of the match, and that in and of itself is a huge change. And then there's the advanced repelling feature, and I didn't think much of it at first, but getting a deeper look really shifted that mindset. And so I'll shut up for a moment and let you see this firsthand. This trailer does a great job at showing the possibilities. Roll it. And so yeah, at first we all thought it would be just like sprinting on a wall, kind of like Titanfall meets Siege, but that's not it at all. Being able to hook around corners makes for a much smoother and faster transition while navigating the outside of the map, which is an area the attackers have always suffered since like the very beginning. Seeing Fuse place his charge on one window and quickly transition to another window to catch them running is the exact kind of thing that opens up a world of use cases and strategies to close in on defenders. I love this. Seeing how repelling has evolved and changed over the years has been one of the highlights, I think, in Siege. And I think we're at a place now where repelling is an actual threat to the defenders and makes it much tougher to get a read on an attacker who used to kind of be just like a sitting duck on repel. Attackers are now more active, they're faster than ever, and maybe most importantly, they're able to create new strategies. So yeah, I think repelling has finally reached its final form here. And so next up is Pick and Ban 2.0, and this is my personal favorite new update. Pick and Ban has always been a pretty stale, very repetitive process. What operators get banned the most? Ghost. Say it with me. Mira, Jackal, Dokkaebi, Blackbeard. Before Blackbeard, maybe a few more Thatcher bans, but in reality, for basically every map and every objective, the same 5 or 6 ops get picked to be banned, and so it's almost like a way to throw them out of rank. And so what this does is makes it more meaningful. So what's changed? Well, instead of having a full pick and ban phase to ban 4 ops at the start of a match, each team will ban 1 operator each round. So let's say you're up against a Deimos main. He knows to scan you and go underneath you to set up an easy kill. He doesn't miss with the revolver, just super oppressive. Well, now, after losing 2 rounds to the same guy with the same op, you ban him and take away his biggest weapon. Or maybe Mira is only really good on one site for the map, like downstairs Oregon, but not so much upstairs in the bedroom. Only ban her when the defenders are headed down there. It also speeds up getting into a match, because instead of starting every match with a full ban phase, you now only need time to ban 1 op and get right into the fight. Ultimately, the same amount of time is taken because it happens in between rounds, but it doesn't feel that way. Plus, you're making a big decision each round that changes the flow of the match. This, to me, is what modern Siege is. Trim the fat, make it tactical, make it matter, and get to the game. And what is Siege but an audio simulator, yes? Audio is the single most important factor that could make or break a game of Siege, and in Siege X, it's getting a huge overhaul. Now, it's almost impossible to describe it to you. It really does need to be experienced, especially with headphones on, but to my 10-year dusty veteran ears, this genuinely changes everything. Some people have complained that the graphics don't look all too new, dual front might not be everyone's cup of tea, but the audio. This audio is something you will immediately notice, especially with headphones on. It's deeper, more fluid, more directional, and more nuanced. Sound cues give you more information by having a little more reverb to them, so they bounce off surfaces and fill the environment rather than cut through it. The best way to describe it is that everything sounds like it's working together rather than individual sounds fighting for attention. An orchestra rather than a high school band practice. Get it? Yeah, the audio is much improved. I actually think it'll make us all better players, just because you're able to pick up on things that were maybe a little muffled before and have a better sense of your surroundings. Siege X audio is a major upgrade. Now, one thing I wasn't expecting, and something I never really thought to add to Siege, is actually something that myself as a solo queue ranked demon will use probably daily, but they've added an interaction wheel. If you don't have a mic or just want to communicate without talking, you can ask for things like a breach, say thank you, or give a friendly thumbs up if it's all just working out so well. For solo players, the less socially inclined or mute groups of the bunch, this is huge. Like I said, I'll be using this a ton, and I'm sure it'll lead to some reputation gains as well. There's now really no excuse. This opens up simple and effective communication for every player, and so do with that as you will. Lastly, weapon inspection. After 10 years and what's almost being dubbed an all-new game, Siege X will launch with over 100 new animations, because for every single weapon in the game, there's a unique weapon inspect. Content creators, players wanting to get a closer look at their skins, or just to troll after a kill, you can inspect your weapon now in Rainbow Six Siege. And that's exactly what Year 1 veterans will do, because alongside everything, Rainbow Six Siege is rewarding their loyal player base with veteran rewards, and it all goes back to when you first joined and played Rainbow Six Siege. If you're a Year 1 guy, you'll get every single reward on offer, including an exclusive Black Ice skin for your weapons, and that is epic. You'll also get all the other rewards up to when you first joined, and I've got to say, respecting players' time and loyalty here is one of the biggest things that separates Siege from other games. Stuff like this is a notice, a tip of the hat for sticking around. These rewards can't be just bought or handed out. It's a subtle flex, especially when you see that new Black Ice. You'll know immediately that that guy most likely knows the game well and has the chops to prove it. Now, with all this being said, if you are a veteran, you're good. Everything you've ever done in Siege follows you, including all of your skins, elites, ops, everything. But if you are new, you're able to hop in for free starting with Siege X, and you'll get dual front, quick play, unranked, and up to 26 operators through progression. But there is a paid version of Siege that unlocks ranked and Siege Cup and will give you access to unlock all the other operators. Now, for a limited time, you can grab this, the Siege X pack, and this comes with this dope new Ash bundle, an animated skin for the 5.56, 2,670 R6 credits, and 12 unique operators to help fill out the roster. It's limited time and only here until June of 2025, so if you want it, get it while you can. If you do, use code ZEN at the Ubisoft store. It helps support what we do here, and you'll get exactly 1 cent off your purchase. Cheers. And so that's Siege X, and of course I have some thoughts. I'll start by saying, as much as I understand dual front and why they did it, it's not something I see myself spending a ton of time with. I think it's a starting point for free-to-play players or new players that just isn't straight up team deathmatch or a long drawn-out tutorial, and that's a constant with Siege. Start players off by just getting them shooting and getting familiar with the mechanics to then funnel them deeper down the rabbit hole until they're fully enveloped and ranked, and what is truly truly the Rainbow Six Siege experience. My biggest issue with it is I wish they'd double down on that Siege experience and make new content that starts there. But I will admit that Dual Front is the closest format that they may have ever come to doing that. Tutorials are boring and more basic styles of play don't mean much in Siege, and so again, Dual Front might just be that perfect cocktail to get people hooked into Siege. And for me, and probably a lot of you, I want meaningful Siege updates that translate to the competitive gameplay, and this is not that. If you're a Siege vet or have been playing for a while, this question is for you. Will you be spending time with Dual Front? Simple enough. Is this a mode you see yourself investing your time into? I'd love to hear your thoughts. As for core Siege, I think these updates only really enhance the game. They are truly updates. I mean, I've seen some of the feedback that this isn't like a dramatic change and it was overhyped or whatever, and to a certain extent, I get it. It's more Siege, and unless Dual Front really hooks you, I doubt it'll change the minds of anyone who wasn't a fan before. If you've played for the last 10 years, you might stick around for another 10, and through those years, you'll get some better graphics, considerably better audio, and nice quality of life features like advanced rappelling and some rewards to honor your time with the game. But I won't be ignorant to the overwhelming feedback either. Look, some people just don't see a worthy update here, and I don't think they want to be senselessly negative. I think they're just looking for a huge new reason to get back to the game and grind. And again, this is ultimately more Siege. Love it or hate it. As for the destructible ingredients, I like it. I'm a little worried that at the start of the round, you can just shoot them out immediately, and so you may not get the chance to use them to their full potential. And there's also the fact that right now, there's only 3 of them. But when year 15 or 20 comes to a close, we'll see that number potentially double or triple because more are confirmed to be coming. And so the map will play an even bigger role in the core Siege gameplay than it ever has, and maybe even some operators pop up that uniquely interact with them as well. Guys, what is here is more Siege, but I also see better Siege. Kind of like a record on repeat, but that's what I've got. Guys, there's more to come, and so get subscribed, turn on those notifications, and like the video if you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Hey, I'm out.